In this lesson, we're going to see how to play video in HTML without the use of plugins such as Flash or Silverlight. This has attracted quite a lot of excitement and attention for mobile devices, for example, which can't have Flash playing natively. So we have a test page which I'll run in a moment, playvideo.html, and have a series of videos in this folder here, my videos. And what I did this morning, I went for a run and I recorded a movie called SwanseaBay.mov. That's my local area. I recorded that on my iPhone. And when I got home, I converted it into various other formats just to show what you can do in a web page. So WebM is a standard format supported by Google and Safari, and I think in the future that would become the standard format that all browsers are going to support. There's also a format called OGV. That's an open format for digital multimedia, developed by the Ziff Organization Foundation. And then we have MP4. MP4 or MPEG-4 contains all kind of multimedia content, such as video, audio, and graphics. So those are the videos. In my test page, I'll open that now in Chrome. It automatically plays the video when it loads. Well, I'll stop it there. So, a few key features. First of all, as you can see, I've got all the different formats shown in the example, and I'll show you how that works in a moment. When I hover over one of these videos, it enlarges itself to make it look bigger so you can actually see what's happening. This first video element automatically played when I loaded the page, and obviously the other ones didn't. So I've set this first one up to be autoplay. It also loops, so that when it finishes, it loops back to the beginning again. Now the other ones I've set up not to be autoplay and not to loop. So for example, this one here will display the MP4 file. I'll just start it and then stop it quickly. There we go, and it's the same. That one won't loop through at the end, it'll just stop. I won't run it, but you can imagine what would happen. This one here plays WebM files, and you can see what's going to happen. This one plays the OGV file, and I'll stop it. And then this one, I've actually set it up so that it's capable of playing any of the formats, because one of the problems with browser support for video at the moment is that some browsers support one format and other browsers support another. As a web application developer, you'd like to be able to display your video regardless of what browser type you're using. So what you'll typically do is have the same video stored in several different formats on the web server, like I've done, and then you can set your video element so that it will choose from a list of possibilities. So I'll just click play here. There we go. So I'll stop there, and we'll go back and have a look at the code. So I've opened up Komodo Edit. This is the code for the web page. So I have some styles. I'm going to tell you a little bit about these styles later on in this lesson, because the video element you can define styles for, like here. So we'll come back to that a little bit later in this demo. First of all, let me show you how to display one of those videos. Each video on the screen I've enclosed in a div, and I've given the div a class of video box, and that just simply gives me the sizing, so that each video box will have a certain width, and it'll all float to the left hand side of the screen. And when we hover over the div, that's called video box, then it enlarges itself. So that's the effect that we saw when I hovered. The video box was getting larger. Okay, back into the code. Let me just go back into the video element. So the first video displays the MOV file. This is the actual file I recorded on my iPhone earlier on today. So the video element has a source property where you can give it the name of one video to play. And then also you can define a poster property. This is the loading image. For example, if you're downloading a video from the internet, it could be several megabytes in size, and obviously that's going to take a certain amount of time to be downloaded. During that time, you can provide a JPEG or PNG or an image of some sort to display during loading. If I go back into the web page and press F5, that's the PNG that you noticed briefly. It's an hourglass. I'll just stop that playing actually so you can hear what I'm saying. Okay, other properties you can specify: autoplay, so that when the video is loaded in the web page, it'll automatically start playing. Loop, so that it will loop through at the end and start at the beginning again. And controls, so that the user can see a play button and a pause button and the volume control. You might have noticed that's the control that we have at the bottom of the video element there. So that's the basic idea for the video element. It is an HTML element, which means you can give it CSS styles. And I've done that at the top of the web page. I said for each video, it'll have a certain width and height. I spent a little bit of time this afternoon getting these numbers just right so that it looked nice on the screen. And I've given it a margin top. So these are traditional CSS styles that you can define on any element, like a div, and on the video element. So the video has an orange border, and a rounded radius on the border, and a box shadow. So it gives it quite a polished effect. Really quite simple, but it really gives the user a nice warm feeling that this is a nice application. Okay, so that was the video element. Also here, you'll notice that when we hover over the video, this is what will actually expand the video itself to be a larger size. So if I go back into the browser, I hover, and then I stop hovering. Hover, stop hovering. Okay, so that's achieved by that pseudo class rule there. Let's go back into the video element to see what else you can do. So the first video element that we saw was this one here. And as I discussed, it had an autoplay, loop, and controls flags. The second one didn't. The second one is the video that's going to play the MP4 file. And this one only had the controls. It didn't have autoplay and it didn't have loop. Likewise, the third one, this is the one that's going to display the WebM file. And if I scroll down a little bit further, then the fourth one, similar. This is the one that's going to display the OGV file. Now, what if you had a browser that supported one of these but not the other? How would you as an application developer know which one to provide? Well, the answer is you can actually provide multiple source elements like this. This is the general usage pattern for video at the moment if you want to support different file formats. Rather than setting the source property on the video element directly, what you do is you have your video start tag like this, and then inside it, between the start tag and the end tag, you have a series of source elements. And you can have as many as you like here. As I said earlier, the three common source formats that you need to support for web development at the moment are MP4, WebM, and then OGV. So what you do is you list the various files there, and you specify the MIME type of each file. The web browser will then choose, based on its capabilities, it will decide which of these to download and play based on what type of browser you've got. You can also, if you want, embed Flash content or Silverlight content as a fallback in case the video formats aren't supported by the browser. And in the worst case scenario, you might have a really old browser that doesn't support the video element at all, in which case all of these elements will be ignored by the browser and it'll display this text instead. So the user would see a text message appearing, and this hyperlink would give them an opportunity to download the video and display it locally off their file system. So that concludes the lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you like where I live.